Good morning. It is 7:30 here in Oregon where I live, bright and early, but I wanted to do this early because I can look at my YouTube analytics, and I can see that a lot of you guys like to watch my videos early in the morning. So that is why I chose this time. But today we're going to be doing a productivity and planning question and answer session. You guys are always asking me, how do I find time for everything? How do I run my business and be a mom at the same time? So I wanted to answer those questions for you in this live interactive format. This is the first time I've ever gone live before, so bear with me. I apologize ahead of time if there are any technical glitches or anything like that. But give this video a like if you want to see me do more live question and answer sessions in the future or other sorts of live videos. We'll just see how this goes, see how well you guys like it. I definitely love the interactive aspect, and I've been doing this inside my Facebook group sometimes, but I've never done it here on YouTube. It seems a little bit more high pressure in some ways, I guess, because there's so many more of you here. So if we mess up, if something goes wrong, then it's a bigger deal. But then at the same time, I feel a bit more relaxed about it because I know that you guys are my friends, and I know that you already love my videos, so I feel really relaxed about just hanging out with you guys for a whole hour. So good morning to all of you who are joining now. It looks like a whole lot of you are joining. So we're going to be focused on productivity and planning today. Another reason to do it nice and early because I love getting stuff done early in the morning, getting it out of the way so I don't have to focus on it for the whole rest of the day. But you guys can go ahead and start asking any questions that you have about productivity or planning or how I balance things or how you can balance things better in your life. Also, a few days ago, I went ahead and I posted in the YouTube community, and I asked for questions ahead of time. So I do have a whole list of questions here too that we're going to get into in just a minute. Oh, and then finally, I'm going to be giving away a one-on-one coaching session with me sometime during this live session. Just something I want to get back to you guys a little tiny bit. And also say thank you for joining me here for my first ever live stream. So the first question that I have here over on my computer that you cannot see is this is from DK. And they said, how do you manage the kids and being productive? I can't get anything done with my 11-month-old awake. That leaves me with 1 to 1.5 hours during the day and 2 at night, which is not enough to start a business. Well, DK, I really understand where you're coming from. As you guys probably know, I have 2 little kids of my own. One of them is 4 and the other one is almost 2, and then I've got a baby on the way. And these days we have a bit of a system with childcare and things like that, which I'll get into later. But for the first many years of starting my business, and then when the kids came along, I did not have any sort of childcare for them really. And so I had to figure out a way to build my business while they were little, while they were, 1 year old and 2 years old. And it was definitely a challenge. And first I'll just share with you what did not work. What did not work was trying to be the mom all day long and then at the same time get the work done. I would spend all day doing maybe 2 or 3 hours of work. So things that I could have gotten done in 2 or 3 hours building my business would take me literally all day. But the whole day I was feeling behind and stressed out, and I wasn't present with my kids. And I really didn't like that. They thought, like, why is mom ignoring me all day? And I was frustrated that I wasn't getting anything done. So that did not work. And so after trying to do that for a while, I decided to try something completely different. And what I did instead was I did just work when they were asleep, which doesn't sound like it would be enough time. You were saying 2 hours at night and 1.5 hours in the day. So it sounds like your child doesn't nap very much, and that's okay. Even 1.5 hours during the day is okay. But at nighttime, if your kid is 11 months old, then they are probably sleeping for about 10 hours at night, 10, 11 hours. So if you sleep for 7 hours at night, you should be able to if you wake up early, and the thing that will break this is if you try to divide your time between morning and evening, work a little in the morning before they wake up, and work a little in the evening after they go to bed, then you probably won't get as much done. But instead, if you can just wake up several hours, 3-4 hours before they wake up, then you can get in a whole bunch of work before they even wake up. And then you're free to really just enjoy them and enjoy being their mom. And then later, okay, well, there was a glitch. I don't know what just happened. I think that the live stream crashed, but it seems like we were able to resume it. So sorry about that. I'm glad that we were able to start like in it again and not have to start all over. Anyway, where was I? So I know that 4 hours a day is not as much time as you might like to have to work on your business, but if you get really intentional about that time, I promise it can be enough time. If you just own the fact that you only have 4 hours and you decide to fit everything into those 4 hours that you can and work really hard and be really diligent during those 4 hours, then you will actually get a lot more done than if you were giving yourself a whole 8 hours every day. I typically run my business in only about 6 hours a day, and certainly like there's some times when I'm working on a big project when I do spend more time than that, but there's other times like when we were traveling in Europe a few months ago where for a few months, I was only working about 10, 15 hours a week, and I was getting everything done because if you just own the amount of time that you actually have and then decide to fit everything in there that you can, then you will get as much done as you can and it will be enough to really build something substantial. All right, so that was the first question that we have. I wanted to try to pull up the live stream over on my computer too so I can see your questions live over here perhaps. Like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this, so we'll see it. Okay, yeah, I can see your questions over here too. All right. So the next question that I'm going to answer is from La Rosa Johnson, and they asked, what are your plans to stay productive when the new baby comes? I have a baby girl coming in November, and I'm trying to think through it all. So as far as running my YouTube channel goes, basically what I'm doing is over this summer, I am doing just a little bit of work, a little bit of extra work every single week so that I can take an entire month off when the baby comes because I really want to be able to have that flexibility. Now what's probably going to happen is I probably will work a tiny bit in September when the baby comes because I'll take a couple weeks completely off, but I love what I do and I find it really energizing and enjoyable. So I'll probably take a couple weeks completely off and then I'll start getting back into it a little bit and take 6 weeks partially off at least. And then as far as after that period of time, that's when we're going to get into that kind of sleep schedule of working when the baby's asleep. Fortunately, newborns sleep a lot, so you should be able to get plenty done while they're napping if you're actually intentional about setting aside specific periods of time for working and then other times to just enjoy your kids. It's more about setting those boundaries. Then you'll be able to be really productive during your work time and also really enjoy your kids during the other time. Whenever you try to balance the two things by like meshing them, that's when it starts to get kind of messy. Okay, let's take a look at the questions that you guys are answering. Sorry, I can't multitask apparently because I can't see both what you guys are saying to me and also think about what I'm saying. So let's see. Mallory Mayer, thank you for being here, Mallory. You said, how do you stay on task? I am highly distractible and don't even have kids yet. When I do get into doing work, I'm pretty efficient, but what's the key to staying on task? Okay, so Mallory, I have one big tip for you, and I have 2 tips for you. Okay, the first one is what I do all the time because I also am distractible, I would say, just because I have so many thoughts in my brain and I'll be working on one thing and then I'll think of something else that I need to do somewhere else, something else that I need to look into or someone else I need to respond to, and it will distract me. So what I do is I use my phone and I use the timer on my phone. And I give myself a really limited amount of time to do the task. So whether I'm trying to check my email or write a blog post or outline a video, whatever it is, I give myself a minimum amount of time. So not like, okay, this will probably take 2 hours. No, I say, okay, I can maybe get all this done in half an hour. So we'll just start with that. And so then I set my timer for half an hour and I just work on it completely committed for half an hour. Now, if you're really distractible, you might want to set your timer for even less time, like 15 minutes, and just stay really focused for that amount of time. And then you can kind of stop and have a breather, and not because you're worn out, but because you've been so focused. And so then you can come back and you can decide, okay, now I'm going to work on it for another 15 minutes or for another 30 minutes. And that way, if you do think of something that you need to work on or that you want to, research or whatever it is, something else you need to do, then you can just put it off because you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep working for these 7 more minutes, and then I'll be able to stop and actually look that thing up or reply to that person or whatever it is. So it really helps you to stay more focused, but also be a little bit more just intentional about how you're spending your time and give yourself, again, some boundaries. And then my other tip is something that I remember hearing Marie Forleo talk about, and that is to take a piece of paper and whatever the task is that's like the next task on your to-do list that you really want to focus on. You just write in really big letters on this piece of paper what it is, just in really simple terms. So outline blog or record video or whatever it is, and then you just put it on your desk so that it's this big post-it note basically reminding you what you're trying to focus on. So if you are letting yourself get distracted and not remembering, like you switch tasks and then you forget about the first task, then that can really help you to stay focused. Alrighty, so let's see, what's the next question here? So many questions. So some of you are asking questions that don't relate to productivity and planning, and I would love to answer those questions, but I think we're going to save those for another live session in the future. So like some of you asked about how I launched my book or how I make money online, and those are definitely like relevant questions to my channel, and I know things that you guys are obviously curious about, but we'll just save those for another time. Okay, let's see. Anna Wright, you said, I have 2 toddlers and the time I actually have to get things done is minimal. How long did it take you to have your kids on track with your schedule? Well, I would say that my kids would get on track with my schedule as soon as I would get on track with my schedule, or at least within a few days of that. So as soon as I would get really consistent with, saying, okay, we're going to wake up at this time, we're going to eat breakfast, mom's going to work, okay, this, then within just a couple days, they would get used to it. But it was more when I was being inconsistent and was, changing every single day, they would have a harder time with that. They actually do a lot better when I have a really consistent schedule and they know what to expect. And they seem to do fine with whatever the schedule is as long as it's consistent, and that makes it a lot easier for them. Okay, let's see. Elle Malone. Oh, where did it go? There we go. Elle Malone, you said, my kids are older and I always seem to struggle to stay on task when they are home for summer break. I've asked them not to bother me, but during my business hours, but it's not working. Okay, so, it depends on how much older your kids are, I would say. If they're older, like if they're teenagers, maybe you could go out of the house and go work at a coffee shop. That's what I was doing for quite a while when I didn't have this room right now, which is my home office. I would leave every day and I would go work at Starbucks because that was where, even though there's noise there, it's not people you know who are talking to you. So I found that to be a lot more conducive to getting things done, just the buzz of the coffee shop instead of kids who need you all the time. So if you can leave, I would recommend you do that. Otherwise, you could either wake up early, right, and get stuff done before they are needing your attention. Because even if they're older and they're not sleeping as much as a baby sleeps, if you wake up early, they're still not going to be as needy first thing in the morning, especially if you don't come out of your bedroom and you just work in your bedroom for a few hours and then you come out. Or find some other time, like maybe every evening they like to watch a movie. So while they're watching their movie, you could work. And then the other thing I would just say is set really clear boundaries with them. I know you said that even when you ask them not to bother you during your business hours, but maybe if you made it just a little bit more clear, very specific hours earlier in the day or something like that, and then you stayed in a specific area of your house and you were just more consistent with it. I'm not saying you're not consistent with it right now, of course, but the more consistent you are with it, I think the better results you're going to get with handling that situation. Okay, let's see. Every time I try to scroll on your comments, they like jump up because there's a bunch of new ones. So then I lose my place. Okay, let's see. Oh, Jeff Danielle, you said, good tip. My suggestion is doing the Pomodoro Technique, 25 minutes of work and then 5 minutes of break. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. The only reason I wouldn't necessarily say Pomodoro is just because sometimes people need shorter periods of working time than the 25 minutes. I know that it tends to work for me more to focus on the task for kind of a minimum amount of time that I think maybe I could get it done in. And then if someone's more distractible, they might need that even shorter period of time. But Pomodoro Technique, where you're working for 25 and then taking a break for 5, definitely is a great starting place if you're not sure how long to focus for or if you want more consistency with that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Elmalone, you said, do you think you have to have a blog in order to be successful? Sorry, I can't read apparently. Do you think that you have to have a blog to be successful with a YouTube channel, or can you succeed without a blog? Now, this question doesn't directly have to do with productivity, but I'll answer it now because it does have to do with like balancing different things. So just in a word, the answer is no, you definitely don't. You can have a very successful YouTube channel without a blog. Although, if you want your YouTube channel to be your full-time job and to, make a living from it, it is important to have some sort of website so that you can send people back there so that they can join like your email list, because that way you'll be able to connect with them more consistently and more directly. And then also, if you want to sell anything down the road, you'll need to have a website where you can sell it. So you don't need to have both, especially not at first. But if you want to make a living from it, you'll probably want a website of some sort. Okay, let's see. What tools, this question is from Fadra Harris. What tools do you use daily to stay organized? So you might have seen my planning system video that I did last week, where I was kind of talking about the 3 main tools that I use. The 3 main tools are, I have my journal here, which I use kind of like a bullet journal. You can watch that video for all the details. I use it basically like a bullet journal, but I don't follow all of their rules about exactly how the method works. So I use this for my daily planning. And then I put all my tasks on my computer, and I use Google Calendar, but you can use any digital sort of calendar. And then I use, sorry, I shut my desk drawer and it made my desk wiggle. And then I use my, Evernote basically, to store all of my weekly routine tasks. So things that I have to do every single week, I keep them in a list inside Evernote, and of course I can access that on my phone or my computer, so that I don't have to write those same tasks down every single day. Those are the main tools that I use. Beyond that, I definitely use a timer all the time when I'm working. That's pretty much it. I try to keep my tools at a minimum so that I don't spread myself too thin. One other tool that I do use pretty regularly is Trello. I don't use Trello for task management or for planning or anything like that, but I do use it to stay organized. I keep a lot of lists in there, like a grocery list, or like list of gifts I want to buy for people, or a list of details for an event or something like that. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay. So one question that I saw on the post that I put up yesterday was about what my routine looks like as far as how I'm getting my work done with my kids, and what sort of childcare I have in that situation. And I don't, let's see, I don't know if I can find the exact question right now, but I wanted to answer that because several people asked a question that was sort of like that. So kind of want to give credit to the person who asked. Okay, Ashley Hosh asked, I also struggle with balancing mommy time and productivity time. It seems like even if my husband is home, she still wants her mommy. So that I would say more, if you can get out of the house, even for a few hours, get some work done, you're probably going to get a lot more done than when you're at home and your daughter wants you. But so as far as how I'm balancing it, basically for the first several years, my kids were little and I was growing my business. And like I said, I was just waking up early, getting in several hours before they woke up. And then later on in the nap time, that's when I would get a little bit more done, kind of finish up whatever those last few tasks were. But by doing that, I was able to grow my business, and I grew my business to a point where it was my full-time income, and then I kept growing it until I was able to replace my husband's income. And I know that that might sound impossible if you're just starting out and like you might never get there, but that was a big goal for me because when I was working and running my own business, which was something that I was, really passionate about, I am really passionate about it. So I definitely wanted to keep doing that. But then we were still relying on my husband's job. That meant that we had all of the sort of disadvantages that go along with being an entrepreneur, as well as the advantages, of course, but we had all these disadvantages of, my income wasn't quite as stable as maybe it could have been, and there's a little bit more stress that goes along with it. But then we also had the disadvantages of him having a 9-to-5. We didn't really have a lot of flexibility. We couldn't just pack up and go on a trip on a weekend if we wanted to. We were constricted to his, 9-to-5 schedule. And so I knew that I really wanted to keep doing what I was doing, and he didn't care about what he was doing at all. He'd rather not do the job he was doing. And so it was really important to me to grow my business to a point where he could stop working his 9-to-5 so that we could have all of the benefits of entrepreneurship and have that flexibility and just be able to really be in control of our own lives. And so I made that my priority so that he could stay home and take care of the kids, so I could spend more time working on my business and growing my business further, increasing my income further. And so that's what the situation is now. About a year ago now, I retired my husband, and now he stays home with the kids, and he's a stay-at-home dad. And that means that I can work for as much time as I need to. I still don't want to work for 8 or 10 hours a day, and I almost never do that. But I can work for as much time as I need to every day because I did that work up front. I invested that time and work up front to build my business so that now we do have this flexibility. And I know that that might not be feasible for you where you're at right now, but I promise you that you can get there if you keep working at it and if you make that one of your goals. And even if you don't have a husband at home to take care of your kids, you could make it a goal to earn enough to be able to have an in-home nanny or to have as much childcare as you need if that's something that you're struggling with or something that's holding you back. So right now you just need to hustle with whatever time you have, not hustle all day long. I don't recommend that. But with that 3 or 4 hours that you have every day, just put everything in that you can so that you can grow your business, so that you can support yourself really down the road. Not just like have a few extra $100 or $1,000 every month, but really support yourself and cover all of your needs, including childcare if that's one of your needs. Okay, next question. So much talking, guys. You guys need to do more talking so I don't have to do so much talking. Okay, let's see. Okay, vegan in Japan and Italy asks, hi Gillian, how do you set yourself up for success if there are many distractions all around you, especially people who interrupt you while you're working? Thanks. Well, first of all, like I said before, I do think it is much more effective to separate yourself, if you can, go to Starbucks, go to a coffee shop, whatever you need to do, for a few hours and then come back and spend the whole rest of the day with your loved ones, rather than trying to get work done while you're in the same space as other people who are distracting you and are needing attention. But if you can't do that, I would just say to really use those tools that I mentioned earlier, a timer, using a big Post-it note or something like that, to help yourself stay really focused so that you can dismiss the distractions politely for the time being. So you say, okay, I'm working on this for 15 minutes. I'll get to you in 15 minutes. Then you can stay focused, and then the 15 minutes is up, and then you answer them, or then you talk to them or deal with whatever the situation is, instead of trying to actually do both things at once, switching between the two things. That still is going to be more effective than trying to do both things at exactly the same time. Okay, let's see. Alina D. Neris, I'm sorry, Alina, I'm sure I said your name wrong, You said, I have a very hectic schedule as I depend on clients who call me on the same day, often asking to see me for half an hour, so it is especially difficult to organize beforehand. I guess it's quite similar for training coaches, although a bit exasperating in my field. Do you have any suggestions for keeping the chaos at bay? By the way, I love your videos and I am a part of Startup Society. Well, thank you, Alinda. That's great. I'm so glad to have you here. So I would say, I don't know what line of work you're in. If you're here live right now, then comment again and let me know exactly what sort of work you do so I know, what's possible for you. But I would say if possible, it would be much, much better if you could set some sort of boundaries where maybe clients are using, I use Acuity, which is an automatic scheduling software, and you can set how far in advance they have to set their appointments. So you could install one of these scheduling softwares like Acuity or Calendly on your website, and then instead of having them call you, they could go online to schedule their appointments for the same day, even if that's something that's necessary in whatever line of work you're in. And then you wouldn't have to be answering the phone at least. So I think that would help in that regard. And then you could also make it so the appointments have to be really close together. That's a setting that you can do, at least in Acuity. I'm not sure about Calendly for sure, but you can say that you don't want any gaps that are bigger than half an hour or bigger than an hour, for example. And that would make it so all of your appointments for the day are at least in one lump or one chunk of your day, so that you're able to not have to be switching back and forth between answering the phone and talking to a client and doing some other task, but you can focus on your tasks until that specific time of the day. You also, of course, can say you only do appointments between 3 and 5 or something like that. And especially if you're using that online scheduling system, you won't have to answer the phone. So you'll be able to really focus on everything else in your business and then just do those client calls for that specific already designated part of your day. Okay, let's see. Lydia Green, you asked, thank you for this opportunity, Gillian. My productivity question is, what facet of video creation should we outsource and why? What are the benefits, especially for smaller channels? Okay, well, that is a great question. I know that a lot of you here have YouTube channels or are interested in starting YouTube channels. So I think that this is a really relevant question. So the aspect of video creation that I'm currently outsourcing is my video editing. And the reason that I chose to outsource that aspect was because it was something that could be outsourced, right? I can't outsource like having someone talk to the camera for me or something like that. But of the things that could be outsourced, video editing was the thing that was taking up the most of my time. I normally film 2 videos back to back, and it takes me an hour or an hour and a half, depending on how extensive the video is. I mean, sometimes it takes longer if the video is much more complex, but typically it takes me about an hour to film the 2 videos. But then I would spend another 2 hours per video editing. And I just knew that that was not very efficient, and I also knew that I'm not a professional video editor. So even though I've been doing it, editing videos, for a couple of years now, and I've learned a lot of things along the way, I knew that someone who had more training than I have could probably do it faster and could probably do things in the editing process that I am not capable of doing because I don't know how yet. And so that was really what made the most sense for me to outsource, and it has saved me a lot of time. It doesn't save me 2 hours per video because I still have to send them the files and get the files back and review them and everything like that. So, I mean, it's saving me about an hour per video, I would say, and that means 2 hours per week. Not a huge amount of time, but every hour counts, especially when you're trying to work for as little time as possible and get as much done as possible. So that was what made sense for me to outsource, and I really would recommend that as a great thing to outsource. But you really need to look at your own schedule and at your own process and see which thing is holding you back. Like, where is your bottleneck? Which aspect of the process is taking you too much time and you're not getting the results that you really want to see there? The 2 main things probably would be editing or else shooting the videos. Depending on what kind of videos you are creating, you might be able to get much better results if you outsourced the shooting to someone else, either just not yourself or not a family member, someone who is a professional who could really help you create amazing quality content. Because the better quality your content is, the faster your channel is going to grow. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't just sit in your house and talk to the camera, of course. But the higher quality it is, the faster it will grow, as everything else held constant. So I just mean if you did everything else the same, the better the quality is, the faster it will grow. All right, let's see. Chandra Arthur, you said, how do you balance needing to get stuff done with self-care? I have a full-time job, I've started a channel, and I am a student. Wow. I have classes coming in the fall, and I'm worried about keeping it all going. Thanks for all of your wonderful videos. Okay, Chandra, well, that is a great question. It sounds like you have a lot going on. It sounds like you're really busy. I remember being in kind of a similar situation several years ago now, I guess. Time goes fast. When I was in college, and I was also working full time, and then the summer I was planning my wedding, and that was crazy. But somehow it got all done, right? So the main thing that I would, well, two things. So one is making sure that you do have really clear boundaries with your time. Instead of trying to just do everything all at the same time, say, I'm going to set aside this amount of time every week for homework. This is the time I'm going to be working my job, and this is the time that I'm going to focus on my YouTube channel, in your case. But beyond that, just make sure that you're thinking about your reasons why you're doing each of these things and what your why is in your life. So like, what is the main thing you're trying to accomplish? You've started this YouTube channel. Is it just a fun hobby? Because if it's a fun hobby, it's going to be a lot easier, I think, for you to not feel stressed out by all these different things, because it'll be your way to relax. So it can kind of be your self-care. But on the other hand, if it's your side hustle, and I'm not saying that it needs to be one way or the other, but if it's your side hustle, this might be a little bit more stressful because you're going to feel like you're working when you're doing your YouTube channel. Even if you're really enjoying it, it still will feel like work, which is fine. I mean, I love doing my YouTube channel, absolutely love it, but it definitely does feel like work. I mean, it is work, but it also feels like work because I know that it is contributing to my monthly income. So that's just going to kind of affect, though, how energized you feel about it and how my child is kicking the wall, and how much it is relaxing for you or not. So just keep that in mind. And then beyond that, just focus on the things that really help you feel like are the most effective forms of self-care for you. So maybe getting a pedicure feels really luxurious, but you don't really care about reading. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you find reading or watching a movie really relaxing and that feels great, but doing something like getting a massage isn't really something you care about. So use that limited time that you have for self-care really intentionally, and make sure that you focus it on things that are actually the sort of things that do rejuvenate you and really matter to you. Okay. Juliana Ferrara, I don't know. Juliana, you said, how do you focus when you are tired or just lazy? I would say choose the most important task on your to-do list. Remind yourself why it is important to you, why you want to accomplish it, and then really just decide to do it, even if you don't feel like doing it, because going through the motions of doing it will actually help you feel more energized and more motivated. So make that choice, and then set yourself a timer and say, I'm just going to work on this for 10 minutes, or I'm just going to work on this for 15 minutes. And that's really going to help you feel motivated because you're starting to get things done. So instead of just feeling lazy or tired, you're going to feel like you're successfully accomplishing something, which will be really inspiring to you. And then after those 10 or 15 minutes, you can either decide, okay, that was enough, I got the most important thing done, or you can decide to go for another 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. Kathy, you said, I'm a new entrepreneur with many ideas, and I find your channel super helpful. How do you decide which media and online programs will help the business succeed? There is so much quality available. Yes, I agree. There is so many options, and two things. One is you need to focus on what you need to work on next. So instead of just saying like, oh wow, there are all these amazing programs I could participate in, or classes I could take, or courses I could do, books I could read, all these things. Instead, don't start with all the options. Start with you and your goals and what you need to do next. So I'm in this place right now, and the next thing I need to learn how to do, or the next thing I need to focus on is this, and then look for a great resource to help you with that specific thing. So I think that will probably be the biggest thing. The other thing is to focus on like, what's your why? What are you trying to get out of it? So if you're like, okay, the next thing I really need to work on is growing my audience, then you need to say, okay, why am I trying to grow my audience? Because that will tell you things like who you're trying to attract, or what types of content you want to put out to accomplish that why. And then you can figure out what course you need to take, what book you need to read, or even what social media platform you should spend your time on. Okay, let's see. Sandra the Boss Mom asks a kind of similar question. Sandra, you said, so excited about this live. My question is, there are so many ways to grow a following. Many social media platforms, YouTube, blog, email, ads, etc. There's so many things to do. Books, courses, workshops, and coaching. There's not enough time to do it all. What's your strategy for picking the best avenues to grow your business and staying focused? So again, you really just need to focus on exactly what your goals are and why those are your goals, and also on like what would be indicators that you've accomplished those goals. So like, how are you going to measure your progress? You want clients. Your goal will be accomplished when you have 3 new clients every month, or maybe 30 new clients every month, depending, on whether you're selling something more expensive or something more affordable. And so then you're saying, okay, so which avenue, which different platform is going to be the best fit for me to find these clients? Well, where are my clients hanging out? And what kind of content would attract them? Which platform is going to be best suited for attracting those clients, or for putting out that type of content? So you really have to ask yourself your reasons why you're doing something and how you can best accomplish it, rather than just looking at the options first. So even if you're just talking about social media platforms, instead of looking at, I could be on Instagram, or I could be on YouTube, or I could be on Facebook, or I could be on LinkedIn, and then feeling overwhelmed, start with you and your goals, and then decide which platform is the best fit for you and your goals. Okay, Carla, you said, how do you motivate yourself to be productive and consistent? I can't find a way. I started for 5 to 10 days and can't continue with the routine. Please help. Well, Carla, maybe you're taking on too much at one time. We all know that if you try to start a whole bunch of new habits at one time, then you can't possibly keep up with them. So if you're having a hard time with whatever you bit off for yourself, then instead let's, regroup and just start with one small habit that you really want to implement. Either one new habit that is going to be really easy for you to implement, or else the one habit that will make the biggest impact on your life. So if there's one thing that you really want to work on, then focus on that. And don't just focus on it for 5 or 10 days. Really work on it for a long period of time so that you can get it really well established in your routine, in your life, so that it becomes easy for you. Because whatever feels normal to you, whatever you're used to, that will be easy for you to do. So maybe you want to start drinking more water, for example. That's a really easy one, right? So you want to drink 8 cups of water every day. So you start doing that today, and you commit to just working on that one habit for the next 30 or 60 days, and really getting that in your system, not just the water itself, but the habit in your system. And then after it's easy, after you're completely actually in the habit, not just you're doing it every day, but it's a habit, then you can decide, okay, now I'm going to start working on waking up early every day, or whatever the next habit is. So I would just say start with one small thing. If you're talking about routines, like having a daily routine, I would just say either start with the evening or start with the morning. So if you want to, I mean, it's going to be easier to wake up early if you go to bed early, but it's also actually easier to go to bed early if you're waking up early, because then you're more tired, right? So whichever one is easier for you, just start with that and start by getting your routine off on the right foot. So maybe that means every single night you're in bed by 9 o'clock, or every morning you're up by 5:30 or 6 a.m. Okay, don't make it drastically different from what you usually do, but just start with the one thing that is going to have the biggest impact. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Bridget, you were asking about how to reach your target audience. Let's save that question for another Q&A session. Maybe we can, I would love to hear from you guys. Leave comments. Which topic would you like to see me cover next? Do you want to talk about social media and like using social media for your business? Do you want to talk about YouTube channel strategies or how to start a YouTube channel for beginners? I want to do another live in a few weeks here. I think that this is really fun and it seems like you guys are really enjoying it. So post a comment and tell me what you want the next live to be all about, okay? Let's see, but I'm going to answer a few more questions here. I think that we're going to go for 1 hour, so we'll keep going until 8:30, okay? And then I will breathe. Because I don't have enough time to breathe. That's the hard part about doing live. When I shoot a YouTube video normally, I'll say one thing, and then I'll stop, and I'll think about what am I going to say next? And it's a long pause, guys. And then I'll say the next thing, and then I might decide to say it a different way. But doing live is a lot more work. I don't have to edit it, of course, but still, so much talking. Okay, let's see. Rosa Pism. I think that's how you say your name. Rosa, you said, I have so many ideas I want to execute. There are a bunch of moving parts to each one. How do I prioritize? I want to do an MLM. I want to sell on Amazon, Black Label. I want to make courses. I want to make a Facebook and an Instagram for my entrepreneur side. And I want to learn about web development because there is a trend for blockchain technology for it to be huge. I want to have different sources of income so I can quit my job. See you on the live. This is my first time subscribing to anyone. And today, will be my first day watching your videos. And today was my first day watching your videos. Have a long drive and saw about 5 already. Great content. Wow, Rosa. I'm surprised that you've never subscribed to anyone before, but that's really fun. Okay, so I really understand where you're coming from. These are like all things that I've wanted to do in the past, and I've done a bunch of them actually. So it is really hard to choose which one you want to focus on, right? The first thing that I would say is that they're all good ideas. So don't feel like you're trying to choose a good idea or the best idea. Okay, they're all good ideas. And the best idea is the one that you actually start instead of trying to decide between all of these ones. Whichever one you choose to start, that's going to be the best idea, because the best idea is one that you take action on, not one that you put off. The next thing is 2 years from now, the thing that you will regret is not starting one of them now. It's not that you picked the wrong one. It's that you didn't start one of them now. Okay, so it's really important that you just start. And then the third thing is just remember that as you're choosing one of these ideas, you don't have to marry it. It's not like you're choosing an idea forever. You can just choose an idea to pursue. You can choose an idea to date, okay? Something to go steady with for 3 months or for 6 months, and then make a decision. Okay, is this working, or do I want to try something different? And that might sound like scary because you might think, oh, I might waste 3 months, or I might waste 6 months. It would be better to start something now and waste 3 months, or even waste 6 months, and then know for sure whether or not that is a good opportunity, something you want to pursue, or something that you aren't going to spend your time on, and rule it out. Because in that way, you'll be able to move on to a better idea if it's not the right idea that you chose. If you decide it's not the right fit for you. So just keep that in mind, that it would be better to commit to an idea now and to get that clarity, okay? Because if it, I would say chances are you're going to decide that you do like it and you want to keep going with it. So it's better that you started today. But even if you decide that it's the wrong thing for you, it's not something you want to continue with, at least you will have used those 3 months to figure out that it wasn't the right thing, okay? So the 3 months aren't wasted. Okay, and then the final thing, and you can hear more about this in the video I did a couple weeks ago about what to do when you have too many ideas, but just consider what a day in the life would look like with each of those different jobs or projects that you're considering. So how do you really want to spend your time? And then how would you spend your time if you were selling on Amazon, or if you were doing an MLM, or if you were running a course-based business, okay? Instead of just thinking about like, even which one would I enjoy or how much money would I make from each one, think about literally how you'd spend your time every day, and then think about whether that's in alignment with how you really want to be spending your time. Okay. Say that a lot, don't I? Let's see. Elizabeth, you said, if I have limited time to start a business, example, just an hour a day with a few 2 to 3 hour chunks a couple times a week, how should I approach it? Well, I would say both focus on, of course, whatever the most important tasks are. I feel like that's a given. But also make sure you're focusing on just one thing that you're working on doing next in your business. So maybe you really need to get clear on your message for your business first. Or maybe you're working on growing your audience. You need to start your YouTube channel next. Or maybe you need to develop a product. But just focus on that one big project that is the next thing that you need to work on, instead of trying to do all the things and like run your business before you even really have a business. Okay, so don't spend time trying to run your business or trying to even work on stuff. Okay, focus on producing something. Because we all waste way too much time like, I'm going to work on this blog post. No, you're going to spend an hour and you're going to produce a blog post, okay? You're going to produce a YouTube video. You're going to produce something that your client can actually use, or a product that you can actually sell, okay? Or a business plan even. But don't just work on tasks, because if you just work on tasks for that hour a day or 2 to 3 hours, you're not going to really feel like you get anywhere. So focus on producing something and make sure you're only working on the next thing that you need to do in order to grow your business. Oh, and Elizabeth, you were the one who asked the question that I was referring to earlier. How do you get work done with the kids around? Is your husband watching them usually? And the answer is yes. Now my husband is watching them usually because, as I explained earlier in the video, or earlier in this live stream, now my business has grown to a point where he doesn't have to work anymore, which is simply because we invested all of that time up front. Okay. Amina, you said, how can you be productive when you don't have any skills and you're broke? It's impossible to start a business without an investment. Well, first of all, you need to change that attitude. If you say something is impossible, then it is. I heard this quote the other day, I think it's from The Secret, and it says, whether you say something is possible or you say it is impossible, either way, you are right. So if you say it's impossible, then you're going to be right. It will be impossible for you. So turn that attitude around. This is your tough love for the day. Turn the attitude around, okay, and figure out how it can be possible. You actually can start a business without any investment. I have a video planned for sometime in the next couple months about how to start a business with absolutely no money. But I do have a video already about businesses you can start for less than $100, so you might want to check that out. But basically, you need to focus on developing skills so that you have something of value to offer to people. Okay, you said you don't have any skills and you're broke. Well, you can't get money without skills. So you just are going to need to take some free online courses and learn some skills to really be able to help other people. You can learn skills from books at the library, or there are all sorts of websites online that offer free online courses. And I think that that is a great place for you to start out. Okay, let's see. We have time for a couple more questions here. And then I will select a winner for the one-on-one coaching session, and then we will call that a wrap for the day. Okay, so let's see. Huey asked, what tasks do you recommend a new business owner to prioritize in order to get their business off the ground as they work a day job? So the first 3 things that you need to do if you want to get your business off the ground, and I'll say, actually, I guess 4 things. We'll go with 4 things. The first one is you need to do any sort of legal aspect of actually starting your business. So you need to like file a business name in your state, make sure that your books are organized. It doesn't need to be extensive. depends on where you live. That's why I can't give you specific advice there, but you just need to make sure that you actually have started your business. Beyond that, the 3 things that you need to do, first of all, you need to get really clear about exactly what your message is. So what are you saying to the world? What are you saying to potential customers, to your audience? Who are they? Who are you to them? What are they trying to achieve? Like, what's their desire that you're going to help them out with? And then how can you help them get to that desire? What's your plan for them? Okay. They want to lose weight. How are you going to help them lose weight? Okay. Or they want their life to be simpler. How are you going to help them make their life simpler? Every purchase decision is motivated by a desire. So you need to get really clear about exactly which desire or what the desire is that is driving your customers to potentially make a purchase from you. Okay, so that's the biggest first thing. And then the second thing is make sure your visual branding is up to par. We're working online here. It's very competitive. There's all these different websites, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of websites, millions of websites, and you're going to get drowned out if your website doesn't look professional and nice. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. In fact, I'd recommend you keep it really simple, but it needs to look professional and it needs to attract the right customers. Okay, so make sure your visual branding is up to par. And then the third thing, once you've got those 2 things taken care of, is to focus on growing your audience. That doesn't mean you have to be here on YouTube, but somehow or other, you need to get some visibility, you need to get some exposure, because nobody is going to buy from you if they don't know you exist. So you need to get the word out about what you have to offer. Those are the first 3 steps of my 7-step program called Startup Success. And it's the program that is a complete system for building a business from scratch all the way to a really successful, profitable business. But if you're asking about just starting out, then those first 3 steps are probably exactly what you need to do first. Maria, you asked, my question is, how to be productive when you have a chronic health condition that decreases your energy levels? That is a tough question. I would say look at your day and look at the routine of your day and think about what time of day you do have the most energy. Is it right when you first wake up? Is it after a meal? Is it later in the evening? There's probably some time of day when you have more energy than other times. And so set aside some time, whatever you can manage in that period of the day. And then outside of that time, as it's leading up to that time, whether it's the night before or earlier in the day, whenever it is, create a to-do list for yourself that's very prioritized. So what is your most important task you need to do? What is the second most important task? And then when you get to that specific designated time, when you know you're going to have the energy, then focus on those most important tasks first. Okay, Amanda, you said, I need to breathe. Hi, Gillian. I've been working from home for a while now, but it's been for my mom. She's retiring in January, and I want to know how to make the transition smooth. What are some things I can do now to generate passive income until my boss retires? What are steps I can be taking to generate an active income once my schedule opens up? Thanks for asking. Well, Amanda, your question is difficult because there are a million possibilities, right? There are so many ways to make money online. I'd recommend if you don't have ideas already, you go back and watch some of my videos about ideas for ways to make money online, to make money from home. Start there. I have a couple, let's see. I did a video recently about how to start a blog that makes money. So if you're thinking about starting a blog or YouTube channel, I also have a video about how to start a YouTube channel that makes money. So if you're thinking about one of those 2 things, then you can watch those videos. And then if you're thinking about doing something service-based, so like working as a web designer or graphic designer or a video editor, then I have another video called How to Get Started as a Freelancer. And you'll probably find that one really helpful. So I would just say start there. As far as creating passive income, there are different ways to create passive income. You can either have investments that are generating passive income, or you can be selling a digital product that creates passive income. You're probably talking about creating a digital product. So in order to sell a digital product, the most important thing is that you build up your audience. So in that case, you would need to start a blog or a YouTube channel, something like that, where you're starting to build up your audience. And then from there, you'll be able to sell that digital product and really make that passive income. And then the other option, of course, is to buy some sort of investment that's producing passive income, whether that's real estate or stocks. We're not going to get into all that right now. But yeah, so those are kind of your two options you could go with. Okay. Agata Guzzi, you said, "Hi Gillian, how do you manage working at home with little kids? I do it, but one day it works better than the other. My baby is taken care of at grandma's 2 to 3 times per week for 4 to 6 hours, but let's be real, that's not enough time to do everything. My daughter is 19 months old and she sleeps once a day for an hour. Any advice?" Well, Agata, my advice is that you actually do have plenty of time. If you have 4 to 6 hours of childcare 2 to 3 times a week, that's, somewhere between 8 and 18 hours per week. So, I mean, let's say like 12 hours per week of childcare, plus all the time when your daughter is sleeping. Really, I mean, you've got more than 20 hours a week right there, and that is plenty of time if you're really intentional about your time, okay? So you just need to make sure that you have really clear boundaries, that it's not like, okay, my daughter's gone, now I'll, hang around for a while, then get some things done, watch some TV, something like that. Okay, you need to be really focused. When your daughter leaves or when your daughter's asleep, you need to focus on your most important tasks, set timers, give yourself big post-it notes, whatever you need to do to really get the work done and focus on those most important tasks that are actually going to move you forward and scale up your business. So don't work on your business, focus on producing something, okay? Produce that blog post, contact that client, follow up with that lead, whatever it is that you need to do to move forward in your business, to actually scale, to grow your audience, to be able to raise your prices, okay? Whatever you need to do, focus on those things during that time. Okay. I think we have time for 2 more questions, maybe. 1 more question. Let's do 1 more question. Okay. Alyssa, you said, "How to balance stress with self-care and utilizing a planned and structured routine for the daily, short-term, and long-term goals for business and personal. Feedback for doing this with additional full-time undergraduate and graduate course loads. What strategies do you recommend? And self-experience would help, as well as to see how you worked for you or someone you know. I also want to incorporate giving back to my local community in my local government and to plan to spread myself out in all of these interests and areas to find a way to balance it all in a healthy manner. I also want to have time to connect with my family. Your words and live videos are now highly anticipated. Thank you for your time, and thank you for giving viewers a chance to win a one-on-one session where we can all learn and connect. See you on Tuesday." Okay, Alyssa, well, that is a packed question, but I think that the long story short of it is you have a lot of things that you want to focus on. You have your job, you have your graduate course load, you want to be doing community service, and again, it just comes down to thinking about what you're actually trying to accomplish. What are your goals right now? And then which of these activities are really going to help you get closer to your goals? So being strict with yourself and being willing to cut things out if they don't line up with your goals and your purpose for your life, okay? So don't just do things because they sound nice or because other people are doing them or they sound like good ideas. Do things because they are actually in alignment with the direction you want your life to go. And then of those few things that will really move you closest to those goals the fastest, then boundaries. Really, it all comes down to boundaries. Don't try to do everything at once. Set aside specific blocks of time to work on different things and to make sure that you give each activity enough time so that you're going to be able to really give it your full effort and to not, cut yourself short or do the work halfway, okay? You're going to be more satisfied with yourself if you do a really good job on the things that matter the most to you. Okay, so we are gonna give away the coaching session now, and then we are gonna call this a wrap. So I wanna make sure I give it to someone who is here live. So I'm gonna count back on the comments, 20 comments, and then I'm going to, if that person is still here, then that person will win the coaching session. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, Antoinette Vicchio, you asked, how long do you think it takes to get your image or branding launched? If you are still here, Antoinette, then you are the winner of the one-on-one coaching session. So just comment now if you are still here. And Antoinette, are you here? Paging Antoinette? Well, El Malone, you might not be too late. If Antoinette is gone, then I'll count again. Okay, I'm not seeing Antoinette. Okay, oh, you are there, Antoinette. Okay, great. So you can email my office at contact@gillianperkins.com. I'll put that in the comments right now. Don't everybody email me, okay? And this just goes to my office, so you won't email me directly. But then there you have it, contact@gillianperkins.com. That's how you email my office, and just say that you won the coaching session, and then we will help you get that scheduled. You'll be able to schedule it for whatever time is convenient for you inside my regular coaching hours, and then we can focus on whatever you want to focus on for that call. Okay, well, thank you guys all so much for attending my first live stream. Seems like you guys really enjoyed this. Do you want to do this again? Was this fun? Was this helpful? Leave me a comment right now and tell me if you want me to do another live stream. And also, okay, great. Also, what do you want it to be about? Is there a topic that you would really like to see a Q&A session around? Or it doesn't have to be a Q&A session, but I like this format because we can talk about a specific topic, but also make sure that we're, actually helping you guys with whatever your real issues around the topic are, instead of me just talking at you and hoping that it is, what you're looking for. So I see El Malone, you said using social media to build your business. Olia, you said YouTube tips, starting a video channel, social media for business. Okay. Scheduling videos on YouTube and social media posts. So it sounds like a lot of you guys would like to see something around YouTube. Are you using YouTube to grow your business, or do you want to use YouTube, or do you just want to have a successful YouTube channel for your personal self? Like as a hobby, you just want it to be successful as a hobby. I would love to know so that I know which way to structure such a live. I think that I'm going to do it in 2 weeks. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going on maternity leave for September, so I'm filming extra videos that will be going live in September, but for July and August, I'm thinking to do a couple more live streams. Okay, so for your business, great. I'm thinking to do a couple more live streams over these next couple months just to kind of test it out, and not just test it out one time, but test it out over the course of a few months and see how it impacts my channel, whether it's positively or negatively. The reason I haven't done a live stream before this is actually because I'm worried that it might negatively impact my numbers, which then is a hard call, because this is something that, is enjoyable to do with you guys and potentially really helpful. But then if it's hurting my overall numbers because live streams don't get as many views as a regular video, then that means I'll be reaching fewer people overall and not being able to help as many people overall. So it just is a hard call about, trying to manage these different options. That's what we were talking about today, right? Is all the different options that we have. Sorry, hang on a sec. Okay. It's a hard thing to try to manage all of these different opportunities that we have and decide which one is the very best one. So normally we do the regular videos. Today we're doing the live video, and just have to decide which one is going to really serve you guys the best and is going to be the best use of my time. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Really enjoyed doing this with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. There is a new video coming out on Thursday. I believe it is going to be the video that y'all requested about how I made $22,000 this month. So, I mean, I did a poll a couple weeks ago asking which video you wanted to see, and so many of you said you wanted to see how I made $22,000 this month. So I'm pretty sure that that's the video that's going live this Thursday. So make sure you don't miss that. It'll be out on Thursday at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and hope you enjoy it. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys again soon. Have an amazing day.